Another trip down south to Alabama for a third time this season in what is the fourth different chassis for these competitors. Cross the 1987s off of the list, cross the Gen 4s out, already raced the COTs, and it's the last time we hop in the Gen 6 cars before getting to the current spec chassis for the remainder of the season. Championship battle is as close as ever, with three drivers within 5 points of each other at the very top, and several more big-time players just a few more points out of things. Anything can and will happen in super speedway racing. Tonight, we race Talladega. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Round 8 of the 2023 Sunoco Winter Series live here on Podium Esports. I'm Joey Atterbury, and with me in the booth is Jake Reeves. Eddie Smith is our producer tonight, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, Jake, I want to bring you in here, talk about the schedule. I'm seeing it's the third time we're at Talladega, the super speedway down in Alabama.
Absolutely, folks, and good evening to everyone here from beautiful Talladega, Alabama. Like you said, last time we was here was in the COT cars, and when we was in those COT cars, we saw a massive wreck going into turn 3 that actually saw the last winner actually at Auto Club, Alex Muscarella, damn near flipping and going into the parking lot over in turn number 3. So that was the last time we was at Talladega. Jonathan Cofield ended up getting the win, but we'll see if Alex Muscarella can maybe, just maybe, get on a winning streak and get 2 wins in a row.
We've seen that Shane Wyatt has been the only repeat winner here, despite it being at that same round at Daytona. So I'm curious if we're going to see another fresh face up top, or if we are going to see one of these names that you've already seen claim a checkered flag, claim another one with the final Gen 6 race here at Talladega. And talking about the points championship, Shane Wyatt narrowly on top right now. You see this, only 4 points really, 5 points separating Shane Wyatt, Jonathan Cofield, Robert Henrata, also Mario Miranda, Alex Muscarella, Richard Swavely, Casey Knighton, Kip Easley. Everybody is still within this points battle here. It's not just within the top 3 here, Jake, but I see a lot of big-time players, Mario Miranda, Alex Muscarella. They are right in the mix of things, too, especially with a few rounds left.
Absolutely, and one name that stands out right there on that Drivers' Championship is Mario Miranda. He's actually had 3 second-place finishes this season, has not won a race yet, so he is still trying to get that win after we are coming to the 8th race of the season. Still has not won, but obviously right smack dab in the middle of the championship hunt. One thing we do want to mention, that second-place finisher, or second place in the championship rather, Jonathan Cofield will not be here this evening, and from what we are hearing, will not be here for the rest of the season. So right now, Shane Wyatt, he's going to be having a deal with Robert Henrata, Mario Miranda, and like we said, last time's winner when we raced, Alex Muscarella.
I talked about it. It's the third time we are at Talladega here this season. The very familiar 2.66 mile super speedway down here in Alabama. Got about 33 degrees of banking in turns 1 and 2. Just a half a degree less in 3 and 4. Count that 32.5 degrees. And then also got about 16.5 degrees in the tri-oval. And I think the biggest curveball that is the Talladega Super Speedway is where that start-finish line actually is. It is way down past the middle of the dogleg. I think that really throws a loop for all of the competitors here in how you kind of claim those draft battles, which lane you pick, which one actually reaches that start-finish line first. And that's the track that we're going to be racing. We also mentioned we are in these Gen cars out here. It is the Gen 6 car that we are racing, 750 horsepower, 5.8 liter V8. Jake, you are very familiar with these cars. I call them the Rumbly Boys.
Absolutely. I mean, these was actually the last cars that the NASCAR Cup guys actually raced before they went to the next gen. You see right there, 750 horsepower, Folks, I'm telling you, we'd love to see that in the next gens, even for next season, but probably ain't going to get it. Got the 5.8 V8 4-speed H pattern. And folks, these guys really going to have to be watching the shifter. I know I say it all the time, but I've seen it numerous times with guys going from second, going to third, and then trying to go back down to fourth, and ended up throwing it in the second gear and stacking up a whole line. And that can really cause some craziness right here on these restarts. But one thing we will see tonight, and we really, really want to see it, this track, as you mentioned, Talladega, it is wide. It is about as wide as you can fit 5 cars at one time here, even with these Gen 6 cars. It's going to be fast paced tonight, 200 miles an hour, 4 wide, 3 wide, however you want to look at it. We're in for a hell of a show tonight, Joey.
Well, hopefully I can remember which generation cars we are running for the rest of the night. And I think the coolest part about getting to see all the different chassis here and actually revisiting some of these super speedway tracks is you get to see the type of super speedway racing throughout the different eras of NASCAR. And with these, I'm really curious. Are we going to see the draft trains kind of be prominent? Are we going to see the tag team bump drafting be prominent? Jake, like you said, this is one of the widest racetracks that NASCAR goes and visits, and there's plenty of room to move around. 3 wide is totally comfortable.
Absolutely, but then when you get just a little bit wider and guys may end up wanting to slide it in there, maybe try to go 4 wide, usually, Joey, I mean, that's when all hell usually breaks loose, especially in the trial oval. And one thing you mentioned about this track is we're riding on board with Ross Harlow right here, checking out a lap that he's going to try to put down. You see it all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack. May see some guys, like I'm seeing others, go with that first lap, try to keep it all the way up against the wall and try to carry as much momentum as they can all the way around this 2.66 mile trial oval. And then you're going to see Ross maybe come up just a little bit. Usually some guys keep it down on the double yellow line to go with the shortest route around. Some guys might actually drift out towards the wall to actually get just maybe a little bit of extra speed going down the backstretch. But as you see right here through 3 and 4, pin that sucker right down on the line and get it around all the way around to the bottom. But one thing I was going to mention, Joey, right there in the trial oval, these guys, there is a bump that's right there coming out of the trial oval that can really knock the car sideways. That is not something that iRacing just put in there. That is something that really has the characteristics of this track. So these guys getting 3 wide and everything, they hit that little bump right there coming out of the trial oval. That's when you might see somebody actually slip out just a little bit, and that's when chaos can start.
I think the whole idea around painting that yellow line, especially for qualifying, like Jake was saying, it is the shortest distance around this very long 2.66 mile track. So even if you were cutting off inches from the racetrack, it can provide some lap time drop out there. Right now, it is currently Ross Harlow on your provisional pole. I'm noticing that the drivers have up to 10 minutes to qualify during the session, but only 2 laps will count. Incredibly close at the top of the board as always, but I think the big surprise that I'm going through the stats over here, Jake, Ross Harlow provisionally on pole, but I don't see him in victory lane yet for the Winter Series.
Absolutely. I mean, Ross, he has put up some crazy fights throughout this year, really, or throughout this season, rather. He was in a very, very prime spot to be able to possibly get a win way back when the 87s ran at Auto Club. And then he ended up having that crazy save coming off of turn 4 where he almost ended up taking out the whole field. Actually got a little bit of help when he got sideways. But Ross Harlow is one of the big dogs, I guess you could say, right here in the Sunoco Winter Series. But one guy that I'm actually checking out right now is the guy sitting in third. That's Charles Phelps, or Chuck Phelps, rather, the Marine man, or the Army man, as we call him, the U.S. veteran, sitting right now in a third spot right now. We'll see if he can actually get up there, and maybe there he is right there. Check out the guns on that man right there. Got the American flag over there on the side. He is a U.S. veteran and also wearing the Michigan hoodie, and getting him a little bit of Heineken as well, as he's going to force that sucker down and get ready for these 60 laps here at Talladega.
Well, Jake, if you want some of them guns yourself, I think I saw a pull-up bar in the back. Why don't you go ahead, get one here, get one of those, start practicing, and looks like qualifying is going to be wrapping up out here. I don't see any more cars on the racetrack, so that is going to do it. We will get our official starting grid for you here in just a moment. The number 5 of Ross Harlow will be your pole sitter. Alongside of him will be the number 4 of Chris Shoemaker. In third place is Mr. Guns there, Chuck Feltz. Then the 99 of Mario Miranda in fourth. Shane Wyatt in fifth, Dakota Curtis in sixth, Chris Progar in seventh, Alex Muscarella in eighth, Austin Shoemaker in ninth, and Richard Swavely will start inside of the top 10.
Jesse Whittington will start in 11th. Stephen Harlow will start in the 12th spot. Justin Winters will be 13th. Kip Easley in the number 8, he will start 14th. Alex Huffman will start in the 15th spot. With Josh Lunkovitz in the number 79, he will start 16th. James Kunkel will start 17th. Steven Stempien in the number 88. Usually he is very, very fast here. Could play a role here later on in the race. Got that throwback Dale Jr. Budweiser scheme in the 88. He'll start 18th. Isaac Mock, who got third place in the COTs last time we was here, he will start 19th, and right beside him starting 20th. That's the 20 car, ironically enough, Justin Earth.
Then in 21st, we got Charles Stevens back here in the number 84. Timothy Stubblefield will be next to him in the number 92. Robert Henrata in the number 37, starting 23rd. Garrett Brown starting 24th. And then the final two competitors here tonight, Casey Knighton driving the number 28 car, and Dustin Reeves driving the number 6. And it looks like we do have the pace car rolling off for the single pace lap out here. We might as well get to our race analysis, let everybody know what we are going to be doing out here, and that is going to be 60 laps at Talladega. Comes out to be about 160 miles, pit road speed of 55 miles an hour. If we have green flag pit stops, you really got to be careful. Get the car woed down. Don't speed going onto pit lane. 3 green-white checkered attempts at the end of the race if we need them. No fast repairs as always, so if you bang into a wall or your competitor, you're going to have to live with that damage, and the car setups are fixed. That means everybody is on the same amount of equipment underneath them. Plenty of tire sets available, and before we get going to the green flag here, Jake, you got any final thoughts?
Everybody hold on, because this is fixing to be one hell of a ride, honestly. I mean, honestly, these guys right here, they have put on a fantastic show for the 7 weeks that they have been coming out here. We've seen a lot of crazy finishes, seen some beef, seen some guys get into it with one another. May end up talking about that here pretty soon, I'm sure. But, folks, I'm telling you right now, if you've got a cold one right here on this beautiful Wednesday night, kick that sucker back, kick them feet out. You're in for one hell of a show tonight.
Pace car is coming through NASCAR turns 3 and 4. All of the drivers are going to basically tighten their virtual belts out here. 32.5 degrees in these banked turns here of 3 and 4. Then you roll out, and it seems like forever before we get the green flag here at Talladega, because as I mentioned, start finish is way down through the tri-oval. It is all in the hands of the number 5. That is the red car on driver's left. Ross Harlow, your pole sitter. The green number 4 of Chris Shoemaker patiently waiting alongside as the field comes through the tri-oval. And we've got a green flag for round 8 of the Sunoco Winter Series here on Podium Esports. And it's actually the number 4 car, Chris Shoemaker, with an early jump, beats the number 5 to the start-finish line. But everybody is accelerating, getting up to speed into turn 1.
Everybody basically looking in pace formation right here, Joey. Harlow down on the bottom, Shoemaker up on the top side. Shoemaker getting a huge shove right now from Mario Miranda in the number 99. He's going to shove him all the way to the lead. Miranda gets clear. Will he jump down in front of Harlow? Maybe, maybe not. Right behind him, Dakota Curtis. He's going to get clear. He's going to drop down as they all go 1, 2, 3 with Harlow, Shoemaker, and Dakota Curtis.
Already the bump draft starting to form, and now I see the 48 of Alex Muscarella join that low lane. you got to go all the way back. 4th place, Ross Harlow. He lost several spots just in the opening lap. Chris Shoemaker in the number 4 takes advantage from that very high line, courtesy of the bump draft of Mario Miranda behind. And now we see 2 lines forming, although that second line, you got to go all the way back to about 10th, maybe 15th place to find it.
Yep, and that is led by Richard Swavely right now, and he's getting all he can get right now from the number 8 at Kip Easley. But I'm going to tell you right now, Joey, this top lane may be fixing to disevolve big time right now, but Swavely, he's going to get a jump. Now we got another driver. He's going to jump up in front of Swavely. More people starting to pile in up on the top side and trying to make a run at Chris Shoemaker.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see how this race develops, see if the more aggressive lines up top, the bump drafting, will prevail with the runs down the straightaway, or if the calm, collected manner of that low lane just kind of painting the yellow line around the low side of the racetrack, taking the shortest distance around. It can be the fastest. Typically in the turns, that's what you see, kind of the faster of the lanes, and then down the straightaways and also through the tri-oval, you get these big-time momentum runs from the middle and the top grooves, specifically from that bump draft. But when you got the number 99 behind you, Jake, it seems like that's all you need to stay out front.
Yeah, I mean, really, at this point, that's exactly all Shoemaker really needs. He just wants to make sure Miranda stays right behind him. Miranda got him to the lead, and he hopes to keep it right in that spot. Dakota Curtis sitting in about that 3rd spot. A little bit of movement going on back here at the back as Swavely has actually jumped to the top side. He's actually let Kip Easley get up behind Shane White, who is leading the top side. Now, Austin Shoemaker thought about jumping up. Stipian's down on the bottom. 2 drivers jump up. That's Progar and Chris and Austin Shoemaker as they jump up right in front of Shane White.
Yeah, you see the 75 of Chuck Feltz on the bottom there. You also have the number 7 car getting pushed from the number 14 of Austin Shoemaker on that top lane. And look at this middle groove really start to build the momentum on this top side. I think that if you're sitting here in the top 3, you can't see it yet, but there's definitely a second line forming. It's starting to get some momentum. And when I think of super speedway racing, it's all about the organization. And you look at the middle lane, it has plenty of drivers in it to have the speed. So as long as they can be well organized, they can make a charge.
Yeah, but all these guys back here in the back, way back on the top side, Joey, they need to be watching right here because there may be a checkup. Thought it might have come from Dakota Curtis. Thought he might actually jump out in front of Progar. He's still got time if he wants to try to jump out. But I'm telling you, that top lane is getting some hellacious momentum right behind Chris Progar. Chris Shoemaker's still leading. Miranda's still sitting in 2nd. But as we talked about, Miranda has not won a race yet this season. We know it's early, but I wouldn't doubt one bit if they get to the back of that 99, Miranda may pull out and try to go for the lead.
Well, I really do think that all of this momentum from the middle lane, the top lane, is coming from that number 14 of Austin Shoemaker. Remember, he does have a checkered flag already. He won race number 2, the 1987s at Auto Club earlier this season. So he is trying to come out here and claim another checkered flag in the form of pushing that number 7 of Chris Progar out front. And this is actually the view that I wanted to see here, Jake. Look at how tall the spoilers are on these Gen 6 cars. When they get to bump drafting, you cannot see anything.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that really can throw everybody off is, wow, everybody up there in the top lane got threw off big time. Austin Shoemaker give Progar a shot, and that stacked them all up. They're looking 3 wide back there. Steven Stipian, he's down on the bottom right of that 3 wide. Herb's stuck in the middle, and the 21 of Kunkel, he's up there. Wow, just that little bit of a slip right there of giving Progar that bump has basically split this field up to where we may end up seeing 2 packs running here in this race.
Well, and what we didn't see was the number 8 car of Kip Easley on the back straightaway. Got really loose either from a bump draft or whatever, and then came down and impacted the number 33 of Stephen Harlow, who then made contact with the wall. But we stay green flag racing, and this is something that if you do get damage on the car, look at the number 8 now. He has kind of fallen back. He is separated from that lead pack, like you were saying. And I wonder if the other competitors even know if that car has any damage.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm telling you, right now, that 88 is Steven Stipian. He doesn't care what kind of damage he's got because that is right now his only saving grace. He's got a line of cars behind him that he could easily try to pull out and try to get around Kip. But he's thinking about it, but will not do it. He'll slam Kip Easley going into the trial. We'll see if they can maybe muster something up, get going. Kip Easley leading with Steven Stempien, Jesse Whittington, Timmy Stubblefield. That's the first 4 cars right here in this second pack.
Well, the reason why I was kind of highlighting this is that if Stempien doesn't know that the number 8 car has damage, all of this pushing is for naught because it's not really going to catch him. Look at how aggressive he really is shoving this number 8 car. Sometimes you have to go around them and then bring themselves back up to the battle, but it looks like Steven Stempien's hard work is going to, in fact, pay off. He's closed that distance now. Kip Easley is within 8/10. He is within drafting range now. He's in touch with the pack.
I'm telling you right now, Stempien is like a bulldozer right there. He just shoved Kip Easley, got him all the way up here, damn near turned him going into turn 3, but Easley, with the presence of mind to be able to hold the wheel and keep it straight, he has got there. Now everybody's back in a pack, but Joey, right here, we got single file, no, maybe not. Here comes Kip Easley. He's going to jump up. Austin Shoemaker's going to jump up. Throws a hell of a block right in front of Kip Easley, and that's going to stack him up big time as Kip Easley's going to jump to the top side. Steven Stempien's going to go down to the bottom and bring Kunkel with him. Wow, I'm telling you right now, that's something that we didn't expect right there.
Well, and Austin Shoemaker, when he went up there and made that big-time block, got shoved into the wall himself, so you just got to be careful about exactly what you do. And now the 88 of Steven Stempien is right behind that number 14. He's going to try to kind of give a push here, but he's only got 3 cars in line. See the 21 of James Kunkel there, also kind of the caboose on this 3-car train. I'm pretty impressed with how much momentum they're making here on the top lane. I'm actually curious if we've got the podium replay queued up of exactly what happened to the number 33 of Stephen Harlow in the back, along with Kip Easley, as we are riding on board with Steven Stempien here in the number 88. Look at the momentum that they are starting to build as we do get this replay here. Watch the number 8 car, this silver car on the top side of the racetrack. He's going to get shoved down and then all of a sudden impact impact Stephen Harlow, and that was the hard impact into the wall.
My goodness, took the whole front bumper off of Stephen Harlow's car. But like I mentioned, Joey, it happened on the top side where everybody just kind of got stacked up the way that it was. Check this out as we come back from that replay. Mario Miranda, he had enough of riding behind Chris Shoemaker. Now he's going to have Austin Shoemaker, ironically enough, shove him all the way to the lead. Steven Stempien's right up there on the top side as, wow, now the tables have turned big time right here, Joey. The top side is the place to be right now.
Well, it was the 14 car coupled with the 88 and the 21. Those were the 3 cars that were the lonely cars in the middle groove. Well, now they have several friends. The 16, the 8, several more have joined, and I actually think you have more cars in the top lane here as we click over start lap number 12 of 60. We are still very, very early stages in this race, and I'm actually seeing this bottom groove start to come alive through the turns. I believe that's Dakota Curtis still pushing the number 4, but Jake, did you see him get all sorts of out of shape with that impact?
I'm telling you, honestly, they are literally driving. When they get slammed and they're sliding all over the place, they're driving like they're basically off of turn 3 where the Talladega short track is, and they're racing like it, and it's only lap 12 of 60 laps, Joey. I mean, these guys are racing like they're on a quarter-mile dirt track. Miranda still got the lead. Austin Shoemaker trying to shove him. Here comes Steven Stempien. He's actually in a side-by-side battle with Chris Shoemaker. Got Kunkel right behind him as well, but as you mentioned, Dakota Curtis also up here as well. But 2 big movers right now in the top 5. Steven Stempien and James Kunkel, both of them starting outside the top 15.
And look at how much ground that top lane loses in 1 and 2. But now the 14 is hooked up. It's going to provide that huge amount of momentum. But it looks like Dakota Curtis equally has a pretty good push. Bump drafting that number 4 on the bottom lane. I expect that number 4 to start to kind of extend the lead, and I mentioned it at the very, very beginning of tonight's show. Each generation of these NASCAR chassis, they draft a little bit differently. And typically what I see here, Jake, you can disagree with me if I'm wrong, but it's not necessarily the aggressive push that gets you out there. It's more pushing that bubble of air. That's really when you get to build that momentum.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what you got to have. And what you also got to have is a guy behind you to be able to keep momentum. If you just keep having as much momentum as you can, try to get everybody as close as you can, as we actually see some guys dropping to the back. They may see some of this crazy stuff going on as we actually got a caution spinning around. That is Chris Progar and the number 7 going around. Caution on the speedway right here, Joey.
This all starts with the number 7 and the number 20 car here. Justin Erb is going to get into the back of the number 7. Watch the orange and black car. The number 20 right in the back. There's a little bit of a checkup. He gets into the back of the number 7, and then a chain reaction with a few more cars involved.
Yeah, and the car that really got the checkup actually was the 21 of James Kunkel. You see him up there in the Motorcraft Ford, the 21. He just gets all bit out of shape. I'm not real sure if he got loose or if somebody ended up tagging him. And then, I mean, Progar got the message. He got out of the gas. Justin Erb, he didn't get the memo. He did not get the message right there, and ends up turning Progar around. And actually also ends up collecting himself right there. But, I mean, Joey, that's what we see with super speedway racing. I mean, you get this kind of tight racing as close as everybody is, eventually something's going to happen. Somebody's going to end up checking up. And then that's when you start seeing people end up tagging people in the back bumper and end up hooking people into the fence.
I'm curious to see if anybody is going to come down pit road here, and I totally agree with your analyzation of that incident there. There's just a big-time checkup, and you couple that with the poor vision with these giant spoilers out of the back of these cars. Sometimes you can't see what happens, call it 2-3 rows in front of you, and you can get caught up on these stack-ups. Let's see here. Does Shoemaker lead the field down to pit road? Our leader stays out, but the majority of the field, they are going to come down pit road, take the opportunity to fill up the tank and get some fresh tires.
Yeah, some of them will probably take tires. Others may not, Joey. This track actually not real keen to tire wear, actually. I mean, you know, they can run basically the whole 60 laps if they want to on just the same set of tires that they start on. You see Steven Stempien, he went in, he's out. Some guys may end up going for 4, some guys may end up going for 2. It just depends on how the handling is of the car. If you love how the handling is of that car, you ain't taking no tires. You're just going to top it all the way off. And maybe at this point right here, they may be able to make it to the end right here.
The 2023 Sunoco Winter Series is proudly presented by Sunoco, fueling victories from track to tank. By Max Pappas Innovations, setting the standard in steering wheels and other racing innovations. And finally, by sksimracing.com. Drive what champions drive. Well, we have had our first caution flag of round 8 of this 2023 Sunoco Winter Series race at Talladega Superspeedway. Kind of a time to catch our breath here in the booth. It's really been Austin Shoemaker out front in the number 4 car. He's had plenty of challenges, mainly coming in the form of that number 99 of Mario Miranda early on. He was pushing the number 4 car, but then he jumped to that top side of the racetrack, and now we kind of have a split in strategy. The top 2 drivers, Chris Shoemaker, Austin Shoemaker, they have not come down pit road. Everybody else has. Dakota Curtis in that number 78 car, he's the first car with the most fuel and the freshest tires. Steven Stempien in the number 88 in 4th, and then Ross Harlow is going to round out the top 5 so far, Jake.
Absolutely, and you mentioned, you know, Steven Stempien. He started in the 18th spot, and here he is all the way up in the 4th spot. A couple of other drivers that's really moved up through the field, I should say. James Kunkel, actually the one that kind of slipped just a little bit and ended up causing that stack up on the top side. He started 17th, he's up to 8th. Kip Easley, we saw him in the 8th. He started 14th up to 9th. How about Mr. Isaac Mock? How do you do, sir? 19th all the way up to 10th. And a couple of other drivers that's really made some moves. Robert Hanratta, he's actually one of the guys that's up there battling for the points championship with Shane White. He started at the back to try to miss out on some of the craziness. So he started 23rd. He's all the way up to 13th. And how about Dustin Reeves? As we've said, once again, folks, no relation, but Dustin Reeves started 26th, and now he's sitting in the 14th spot.
The other thing you mentioned was that points championship so far. I'm cruising through timing and scoring, trying to find exactly where our championship contenders are kind of running right now. And I think that Alex Muscarella, Mario Miranda, those two drivers in kind of that 5th, 6th, 7th range, those are the two having the best day in terms of that points championship. And you look at where they are, they're also sitting kind of there 4th, 5th in that points championship. This is a good opportunity for them to claw back some of that difference, albeit very, very small, up to those top 3 contenders.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what they're wanting to do. But, I mean, you mentioned Mario Miranda. Honestly, I mean, he knows, Joey, that he is in the middle of a championship battle. But I'm telling you right now, he's finished second 3 times this season. Like I said, I know we got a long way to go. It's lap 17 coming to 18 of a 60-lap race. But you know Mario Miranda, when he took the lead a while ago, he's got to be sitting there thinking to himself, damn, I may have a chance to finally get the monkey off my back and finally get a race win this season. I watch out for that number 99. I'm telling you, he may be in a hurry starting at about the 7th spot. He's probably going to be in a hurry to try to get all the way back up to the front.
The top 2 did not pit. They are on old tires. I see 4 cars took 2 tires. The rest of the field on 4 freshies as we get the green flag starting lap number 18 of the race here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. It is the number 4 of Chris Shoemaker, this time on the bottom line. He is going to have Austin Shoemaker pull in directly behind him. A great jump from that front row, but I would be looking out. Dakota Curtis, he's got Steven Stempien right behind him. Stempien has been one of the more aggressive pushes, and they have got some momentum coming up behind the 14.
They absolutely do, and really, I thought for a second they was just going to gang up on both of the Shoemakers right there, but Dakota Curtis actually backs away a little bit. Stempien does as well. And what a jump by Chris Shoemaker on that restart. Basically, he went right smack dab in the middle of the tri-oval, nowhere even close to the restart zone. But Chris Shoemaker able to get away, got Austin right behind him. We'll see what Dakota Curtis does. Like you said, Joey, Steven Stempien, he's been a hell of a pusher here this evening. Dakota Curtis may be thinking about that and may jump up to the top side and see if Stempien will go with him.
Well, a little bit of some woobling out of the top 3 there coming through the tri-oval, always a dangerous area. And I think what has really caught my eye is this lead group kind of is single file, is really the 9th place car, the number 47 car of Isaac Mock. Jake, check this out. This is the first time that we've really had 2 completely separate groups. This is now separated by 2 seconds up to the top 8.
Yeah, and right now they're actually trying to see if they can work their way back up there. But we got a couple of guys way back here. They're actually starting to say, screw it, we're going to go to the top side and maybe try to make something work. If anything, try to make anything work at this point. Stubblefield back there as well. A bunch of drivers really want these. I'm telling you, Joey, these guys need to get in line big time if they even want to have a shot to try to catch that top 8.
Well, I was noticing the gap. Isaac Mock up there, it was about 1.8, 1.9 seconds. Now it's down to about 1.6, but also bleeding time through turns 1 and 2 back here. So he's getting the push from the number 8 car of Kip Easley, who was involved in that side-to-side contact earlier. They are doing everything they can to go and catch the top 8, but trust me, folks, I'm watching the live timing and scoring. They are losing time.
Yeah, and it's really hurting them right now with those 4 cars actually led by Justin Winters and also got Alex Huffman right behind him. They need to get down because they will have more people down there in that line. They'll have way more people than the top 8. And the more cars that you got, the faster you're going to go and the better off that you're going to be, honestly, Joey. So what they're doing right now with Winters and all of them up here running on this top side, basically what they're doing, they're screwing this second pack from trying to be able to catch James Kunkel, who is the last car in that 8-car draft.
Now, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here because Kip Easley is doing everything that he can to push Isaac Mock, but also the top 8 from Chris Shoemaker all the way down to James Kunkel, they are running single file. So what Jake is talking about, that second group, not only are they struggling to keep up because they're running too wide, but this lead group, extremely well organized, and they are trying to run away.
Yeah, I mean, they are trying every little bit that they can right now. And you see Austin Shoemaker all up in the back bumper of Chris Shoemaker. And every time I'm sitting back here looking at this second pack, Joey, there's more and more guys going from the bottom trying to go up to the top. It is just straight up killing the speed. I just saw Shane White jump up to the top and try to get something to work. But you see Kip Easley, he is giving Mock a run for his money right now, just shoving him all the way as far as he can. But Joey, he's got to watch himself right here. He's got to watch the shoving, because if you hit him on the corner, either the right corner or the left corner, you need to turn him in the fence. And also, you can't stay too much tucked up behind the car in front of you, which is what Kip was doing. It will close off the front of the car, and you can easily get that engine to, well, honestly, blow up.
Well, unfortunately, that number 47, we were talking about how they had closed it to about 1.6 seconds. Well, it has now grown to 2.5 seconds now to 8th place. So continuing to lose time to that lead draft pack. And when we talk about the two different groups in super speedway racing, typically this latter group, it's not aggressive. They're not racing too wide. The reason why they've separated themselves from the front is so that way they can avoid any sort of wreck that's happening. And this is kind of counterintuitive. This second group is actually more aggressive than the first group.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and one thing also that the front group is not doing is, like we see back here in the second group being side by side, they're side drafting one another. Some of these guys up there in the middle side may end up coming down and getting on the right rear quarter panel of the guys that's on the bottom side, and all it's doing is just pulling back that inside lane, just sliding them back as much as they can. But I'm telling you right now, I mean, I don't know what they are doing. Why are y'all not getting lined up back there? Seriously, because y'all are getting left. For the love of God, somebody tell them to get in line.
And, you know, so let's analyze this a little bit here, because it can be tough when you're in the sim rig by yourself. You don't necessarily have a crew chief telling you exactly what is going on. But I think some of these competitors might think that the number 47 of Isaac Mock might have a little bit of damage, can't really keep up with that lead pack. However, if nobody goes around him, nobody can then start to close that gap. So I think the number 27 back here of Shane Wyatt and others, they realize they need to do something to get around the 47, but it's not working.
No, I mean, it's really not. I mean, you would think, I mean, if he did have a little bit of damage, you would think that Kip Easley would know this by now and just say, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and go around Isaac right here and maybe get Jesse to go with him. But those guys might not be on a team, honestly, Joey. So, you know, Jesse may sit there and think, okay, well, Kip's going to jump to the top side. Jesse may think, hey, free spot, we'll just hang him out and just ease ourselves up in line. So, you know, a lot of stuff going on right here that a lot of drivers may not know. But from what I'm looking at, Isaac's car is actually, well, clean. I mean, it's perfectly clean. I think what it needs to do right here is Kip needs to get up on the back bumper of Isaac Mock, and Jesse needs to quit playing back as far as he is and get up on the back bumper of Kip Easley and keep the momentum. Because if he can keep momentum and if they can get as much speed as they can with as much draft as they can, the second pack may end up reeling them in.
The other thing that we haven't talked about yet is we've got a few differing strategies from that pit stop. Do you think that this could be some fuel save going on, that this group of Isaac Mock and behind says, well, we can't run this thing flat out, we've got to be lifting? But as I say that, I think the best opportunity for fuel save would be in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that. I mean, especially with Isaac Mock leading, because, you know, folks, when you're in the draft, you ain't got to run completely full throttle. You can, you know, halfway throttle it. You can maybe use a little bit of throttle and then maybe lift just a little bit. Just have the draft be able to carry you up through. Why is it Mark ain't got no draft? All he's got is the front bumper and Kip Easley right now. So, I mean, Isaac Mark ain't saving nothing. I mean, if he's half throttling it right now, God help him at this point, because maybe that's why the whole thing is backing up. But Kip and all those other guys, I'm sure they're half throttling it, or maybe not. I mean, honestly, I mean, they could be fuel saving, they could not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this right here is mind-boggling to me. Is still why the top side hasn't jumped down and tried to help the bottom.
Now, I love calling races. I got to do it as a profession for a while, and there's so many different strategies that you can employ to basically run around your competitors, and they have no idea what's going on. And fuel saving, let me talk about this a little bit, okay? It is important to stay in the draft. Now, when everybody is on the same strategy, things are a little bit different out there on the racetrack, and you might get a group that falls back that physically is driving slower. But remember, folks, our two leaders up here, the 4 and the 14 that we've got on screen, they did not come down pit road. So they are for sure not fuel saving. They are running 100% flat out, which means everybody behind them that did come down pit road, Dakota Curtis, Steven Stempian, Ross Harlow, Alex Muscarella, Mario Miranda, and James Kunkel, all in that top 8 group, they can fuel save behind these top 2, letting them run flat out while they lift in the draft.
And another thing too, right there with those 2 cars that, as you said, the Shoemaker's having to pit here very soon, that may end up helping this second group just a little bit. Granted, it's just 2 cars that would have to pull out of the draft, but hey, that's 2 less cars that the front pack is going to have to be able to work with. So that may end up helping this second pack, maybe give them something and maybe try to help them catch up. But I'm telling you right now, I'm still sitting here looking at the intervals right now. I don't even think that them 2 cars pulling out, Joey, I don't even think that it would help them at this point.
I don't think so. I mean, you eliminate 2 from, what is it, the top 8. You still got 6 cars in line. I think that's plenty momentum enough to kind of keep that going. And I'm seeing the number 47. And folks, trust me, I've got an eye on it. You can watch it too on that timing and scoring pylon on the left side of the screen. They're in 9th place. You can see the gap. It's about 2.7 seconds up to 8th place James Kunkel right there. And I'm also looking at the lap times. Isaac Mock in that 47. He's about a 1/10 of a second slower than Shoemaker's out front. And you think, well, maybe half a 1/10 or a 1/10, it's not that much. And actually, here we go, the 4 and the 14, they have dipped down below the apron here. They are coming to pit road this time. Got to make sure that you don't speed on pit road. Not only that, but if you mess up this stop, you got to stop in the box. It'll separate the 2, and they're already going to be in trouble.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to be very careful right here. Both of them, Austin Shoemaker, Chris Shoemaker, they ease into the pits. There you see Stephen Harlow still sitting in there. Wow, Shoemaker blew right through the whole pit box, I believe. Maybe not. I was looking at the other green board. But there you see Chris. He's in the box, still in the box, still in the box. He's going to fill it all the way up. As we see a lot of stuff going on out on the track right now. We saw the 94 actually jump up. He was behind Kip Easley. But there you see the 2 Shoemakers. They are down and away.
Well, and this pack now is down to 6 cars. The white and purple number 78 of Dakota Curtis leading the way. He's got one of the more aggressive pushers we've seen all night long in the form of the number 88, Steven Stempian, directly behind him. Ross Harlow in the number 5. He rides there in the 3rd place, that second red and black car. And we also have Alex Muscarella in that 4th place, Mario Miranda in 5th, and James Kunkel. That is your top 6 group, and now it's up to 3.8 seconds. They've grown that a second more.
Woo, boy, I'm telling you right now, them 6 cars has got to be the fastest 6 cars in the state of Alabama, and it's all led by the 78, Dakota Curtis. Steven Stempian, we've talked about him numerous times. He has had a lot of bad luck this season, Joey, from frame rate issues to leading the race and then getting straight up took out. So, I mean, he's had a lot of stuff go on. Ross Harlow's had a lot of stuff go on as well, as Alex Muscarella has. All 6 of these guys up here at the front would love to get themselves a win here with this last trip to Talladega for this series.
I'm trying to see exactly where the 4 and the 14 came out of pit road, because I actually think this might play out for this lead group here, folks, because remember, Dakota Curtis, this top 6 group, they were fuel saving behind the Shoemakers that had to pit no matter what. Well, those 2 cars have popped out back on the racetrack in front of that lead group. So despite the second group having that heavy lifting fuel saving, things are kind of falling into the lap of the top 6 once again.
Yeah, I mean, that is very possible what it could be right there. As you see right there, is both the Shoemakers and, Curtis and them, honestly, at this point, if they are fuel saving, at this point, they may end up just going. No, absolutely not. No, but what they may end up doing is trying to go ahead, maybe get us a little bit of extra speed, not left or anything like that, and try to get up there and catch them. That way, they can go ahead and use them to save the fuel. So maybe that's what they're thinking right now. But I'll say this, I mean, both the Shoemakers, they're full throttle at this point. I mean, they're hell-bent for leather at this point. Curtis, Stepien, they need to try to get up there and catch them and try to help themselves.
All right, folks, so we have 3 different strategies going on the racetrack right now, and we are just past halfway in this race. Click it down to what is now 26 laps to go. So this lead group right here that we are watching with Dakota Curtis, we expect that they might not make it to the checkered flag, right? They had been fuel saving behind a couple cars, but not nearly as aggressive as the second pack, okay? So this is kind of the questionable top 6 right here. Are they going to make it? We don't know. If we jump back to the number, I guess it's the number 94 now that's leading the second group of Jesse Whittington. This group has been heavily lifting. They have gone down 5 seconds now to the lead pack. So they are fuel saving on purpose back here. They are trying to save whatever they can, right? We don't know if they are going to make it, but this is the strategy that they say, hey, we have to do this in order for us to make it to the checkered flag without stopping again. The third strategy that we've got on the racetrack is the number 4 and the number 14 cars. Those are the Shoemakers, Chris and Austin. They are actually getting passed by Dakota Curtis right now, which I'm actually very, very surprised about. They have come in, they have made their final stop. They are good to go on fuel, but they are now 1 lap down to this lead group.
And check this out right there for a second. I actually thought the 48 of Alex Muscarella was going to try to end up shooting it down to the bottom, but how about this? Wow, the 4 of Chris Shoemaker did not let Mario Miranda down. There you see Austin Shoemaker as well. So, wow, this right here is going to be really, really big to see this right here with Miranda not being able to jump down in behind Muscarella. Now he's going to have 2 lap cars right smack dab in front of him, separating himself from the front 4 cars.
It might be a blessing in disguise, honestly, Jake, because remember, the 4 and the 14, they're a lap down, so they are effectively out of this picture of the checkered flag unless the rest have to stop or we get into a wreck, right? And they get that lap back. However, we are still questionable on if the cars in front of them, right? The 78 all the way up to the 48 there, if they can make it on fuel. Now, Mario Miranda being at the back of this pack, as well as the 21 of James Kunkel, I think they're kind of in the catbird seat because they're not only in the lead group, but they're also getting to fuel save still.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, actually, you made a very, very good point. See, Joey, that's why you're the smarter man than the redneck right here. I mean, honestly, yeah, I mean, folks, that's spot on exactly what he said right there. Both of them literally in the catbird seat. Basically, at this point, they are going to do what Dakota Curtis, Stepien, and Harlow and Muscarella did not do, which is stay behind them. Hell, maybe not at this point. Now both the Shoemakers are going to try to maybe go to the top side and try to pass them. Maybe not. Well, I'm telling you, Joey, there's maybe 5 or 6 strategies going on out here, and 3 of them I don't even think we know about at this point.
Well, I don't blame the 4 and the 14 for doing that because remember, they are the lap down in this group, so if they can physically drive their way around Dakota Curtis, they will be back on the lead lap, and therefore, if a yellow flag comes out, they will be safe. They'll just simply keep on going, catch up to the back of the field. They don't have to do any of the silly wave around stuff or hope for people to come down pit road so that way they can get the wave around or the lucky dog or whatever you want to do to get your lap back. So I don't blame the 4 and the 14 for trying to pass their way to get their lap back, but I also don't blame them if they just want to sit there in the draft pack and say, hey, you guys go ahead and run out of fuel for us.
Yeah, I mean, that is very possible what they can do. And actually, Chris thought about jumping to the top thought better of it and dropped back down in line. So we'll see exactly what's going to happen right here within these 22 laps. If Dakota Curtis, Stempy, and all those guys, because Curtis was actually in a very, very good spot right behind both the Shoemakers. He was smack dab perfect on saving fuel. Guess what? Now he's right in front of the whole pack. So he ain't saving nothing. Even if he's lifting, he's not able to use any draft. All he's going to get is the 88 shoving him. So Dakota Curtis, he's actually in a very, very bad spot right here because he has nobody to draft off. So there's no way he's fuel saving. The only guys that are actually fuel saving at this point is the rest of the guys that's behind him.
I'm looking at the lap times of our lead group, a 48.89 the last time, and then you go back to the 94 here on screen, a 49.30. So they're running about half a second slower than that lead group out there, really lifting off with the throttle. You can probably even hear it here as the lead car getting pushed along, just trying to do whatever they can to save the amount of fuel. I'm looking, it's up to 8.5 seconds now, the gap between this first and second group, and we still don't even know if this group can make it on fuel. They are doing what they think is needed to make it to the checkered flag.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only two drivers really that's going to make it all the way to the end is the 4 and the 14. At least we think at this point, but they should be able to make it when they made their green flag pit stop just a second ago. So, you know, both the Shoemakers, they should be perfectly fine. One thing I will say, this second line has gotten in single file formation, so that's a good thing to see that right there. But looks like nobody's really wanting to duck down right here with this second group. So I'm telling you, Joey, I mean, this is going to be crazy right here to see at the end. This is a race. This is a kind of race. Honestly, I have never seen this kind of stuff happen here at Talladega with one group just basically just going all the way to the back and basically just riding around half throttle and trying to win a fuel strategy race at Talladega. I'm telling you, Joey, iRacing just throws us curveballs all the time.
Now, I want to put some data out there for you all. Lap 30 is when the number 4 and the number 14 came down to pit road. Now, that doesn't mean that they ran it all the way dry, but lap 30 is the data point that we've got so far about kind of when the cars came down to pit road after stretching it for a full tank of gas. And I'm looking at our lead group right here. We're clicking over to lap 28. So 18 laps to go. I'm also hearing rumors that might be able to stretch it potentially up to another 14 or 15 laps. That would really put us right on the edge. If we have a yellow flag, I think that a lot of different strategies will be employed. But I think as of right now, we're about to see who runs out of gas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just mentioned, you know, a yellow flag could really throw this thing for a curveball. Well, honestly, folks, if you want to see a yellow flag, I mean, they got to get too wide before that'll even happen. Out of that, or just take a bad bump draft at that point. That's basically what these guys are going to end up having to do. But, I mean, the front pack, nobody's jumping, you know, I mean, everybody's just basically just riding right here at this point. So, Joey, I agree with you 100%. At this point, we're basically running till they have no gas. That's basically what we're racing to. Who's going to run out of gas first? We'll see how this ends.
Well, and let's look at this second group one more time, because how I've been taught to fuel save through my professional career is that if you don't do it from the beginning, you're never going to make it, right? If you start fuel saving halfway through or you know, even further, you're never going to reach that number that you need to. They were hanging out a couple seconds back, and in the last handful of laps, they've dropped from 7.5 seconds now back to 11.5 seconds between this first and second group. And what that screams to me, Jake, is that they are in trouble. They've realized what they've done isn't going to make it to the end, so they're saving even more extreme now.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big factor right there. I mean, you know, I'm telling you, I mean, when it goes from bad to worse, I mean, it really does. And you hate to see it, actually, because you see, you know, with how this is going out right here, and as you mentioned about the fuel right there, check out who's in that second pack. The 27, Shane White. He is the points leader coming in tonight. Well, a lot of those guys that is ahead of him, or excuse me, right there pretty close to him in the points, with the likes of Mario Miranda, Muscarella, those guys, and even Ross Harlow, all these guys, they are right there within striking distance. So this is not what Shane White was looking forward to coming into tonight's race here at Talladega. He wanted to be ahead of these guys, but as you mentioned right there with the fuel of how everything goes, this may end up going from bad to treacherously worse at this point.
We're going to see it all play out because we've got 15 laps to go here in round number 8 of the 2023 Sunoco Winter Series live here on Podium Esports. It's currently Dakota Curtis in that white and purple number 78, your race leader. He's got company in the form of Steven Stempian right behind him as they go by a couple of lapped cars on the racetrack, riding on board with Casey Knighton back here in what is, I believe, the 23rd position on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, and he may have ended up going down pit road and basically going by himself, really. He actually had one or two guys actually go with him. I believe Richard Swavely may have been one of those guys to go down with him. So, I mean, you know, you hate to see this right here, but now I'm telling you, Knighton may end up being in worse shape. He's going to have to get up on the gas pedal and be able to try to jump back up to him. Now he's able to ease back up there to Swavely. That's one of the things you got to watch yourself right there, Joey, especially with these Gen 6 cars. They are much like, I guess you could say, like the next gen cars, but not as bad. Once you just lose just a sniff of the draft, you're basically screwed at that point. You have to be able to, I mean, if you leave a bottom lane open and everybody shoots by you, as soon as they get by you, you have got to jump down as fast as you possibly can. And Knighton almost got himself in a bad spot right there and almost lost his front pack.
Well, and I think what's really the biggest problem for Swavely and Knighton back there is that they lost touch with the second group at some point, because I'm seeing they haven't come down pit road yet. They're still on the same strategy as this lead group. However, they are just one lap down, so something went south at some point in the race for both the number 32 and the number 28 back there. Officially one lap down, although they are in this lead draft group pack. Coming out of turn number 4 here at Talladega, it is still the same top 6. Nothing has changed yet. Coming up to 12 laps to go, and I gotta ask you here, Jake, that if this lead group does have enough fuel to make it, when do you think that these leaders decide to race it out?
Honestly, if it was me doing it, I'd wait till the last lap. I'd wait till probably coming off of turn 4. Some guys may end up thinking, you know what, screw it, we'll go for the trouble. Other guys actually may just end up thinking about taking it coming off of turn 2, but if it were me, I would do it off of turn number 4. That gives you enough time to be able to make the move that you got to make. You don't want to make it off of turn 2 because you've got
Advantage of that win. Yes, he just wanted to claim a checkered flag, but in the end, Shane White, a very bad day. Cofield, not here. Robert Henrata, another not great day, although it's still inside the top 10, nowhere near the podium. Alex Muscarella was kind of mixing it up earlier on, but also outside of the top 5. So I just think that Mario Miranda, despite not only claiming the checkered flag here today, also might put some wind in the sails for that championship effort. And we're just waiting for all of these drivers to come down and interview, or I should say get interviewed here after the race. And Jake, I got to ask you here, what did you think about those two packs really getting separated?
I mean, it was great. Well, Mario, go ahead, brother. Honestly, we got Mario Miranda up here in the booth, Joey.
Yeah, looks like we do get to chat with Mario now. Congratulations on the win here, Mr. Miranda.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And sorry to eavesdrop all of a sudden. Wasn't trying to ruin the conversation, but yeah, thank you for the congrats. It's nice to finally bring it home after a lot of second and third place finishes this season.
Well, and what did that mean? Did you know that the 21 was going to help you on that last lap? Kind of what was your strategy sitting there in the third?
Yeah, Kunkel in the 21's my teammate, and we had a plan before he had the mishap on pit road that we would just try to partner up against the DTH drivers. And if he was in front of me or I was in front of him, we would do our best to work together to try to maximize our profits at the end and, try to get a 1-2. But he had that mishap on pit road, ended up a lap down, but he ended up behind me, like if he didn't miss pit road. So I was working with him, and then we had Garrett Brown behind him, another Ford driver, and even in sim racing, you have a manufacturer, bias. So he came with us, and it ended up working out for me pretty well.
I got to ask you because we had the early yellow flag and then it ran green the rest of the time. There was a few different strategies out there on the racetrack. Were you confident being in that lead group? But kind of, I noticed you fuel saving at the tail end of that lead group. Were you confident in your position?
Yeah, I was pretty happy where I was because I knew that that lead group was pulling away from everyone else, while at the same time I was doing relatively well on fuel. And then it hit with about 10 laps into that run that I probably wouldn't make it. I was trying my best to, but I just couldn't close down that 1.5 lap short on a super speedway. It's really hard to do that. So I kind of just committed to making a short green flag pit stop, just doing a little top off and getting back on track.
Well, Mario, I got to say thank you for coming out and racing here in the Sunoco Winter Series. And congratulations on the win and standing here in victory lane one more time.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
That was the driver of the 99. Still smells like some smoky burnout donut smoke out there, but I'm sure he is plenty okay with that. And it looks like next up, we've got Steven Stempian standing by with Jake Reeves.
Yeah, Steven Stepien for dropping the hammer in the number 88, ended up getting second. And Steven, I'm telling you, brother, I mean, last time we talked was actually on, my podcast on Door Bang and Downloading. You said you was going to come out with a fire here tonight. And damn it if you didn't. I mean, you came out with a fire here tonight, had the throwback 2003 88 Budweiser scheme. But, I mean, what would it have took to try to get the win right there from Mario Miranda?
Um, not losing Dakota or Alex on that pit stop. Um, me and Ross had a great pit stop, and those two just came out a second and a half back, and that's all it took. We lost them pretty quick, so it was just me, Ross, and Mario for a little bit. And then we picked up Kunkel, who was a lap down, and Garrett, and that kind of helped them out on the high line. And I sure went with my gut because I said to Ross, I was like, we're going to be sitting ducks if we don't take the high line. And that's just my, just super speedway instinct going on the high line because you're in a better position if you're on the high line to side draft. So that's where we messed up, but we'll know for next time. I'm happy though. Can't complain about a second place finish.
No, I mean, you absolutely can. I mean, we talked about this, with some of the struggles that you've had this season. And, some of those struggles really hasn't been of your doing. It's just been one of those things, stuff happens. So this has got to be really, really big for you, getting at least on the podium night, finishing second and leading laps and being strong contender, letting these guys know that, hey, Steven Stepien come to play here tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just just putting myself in a good position coming up for next season, and just try to get that momentum in full swing for when we go full time in the Cup. But no, tonight was a good race. We had no drama-free race for once in the 88 camp. Don't got to deal with any inboxes or anything tonight, so that's good. I'm happy about that. And I'm happy that the way Dropping the Hammer as a team ran, we were killing it, top 10 most of the race. I mean, I qualified 19th, so that was a little struggle getting up there, but I finally got there to them, and we just never looked back after that. And looking forward to it, man. And then we got the podcast tomorrow. We're announcing next season, so shout out, look at my podcasts on Twitch, Dropping the Hammer, and we'll look forward to that.
Absolutely. And, Stephen, the way I look at it, if you've got no beef in that box, you've had a good evening. But, Stephen, before we let you go, brother, have you got anybody that you want to thank that made this possible?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, all my guys at Dropping the Hammer, Dakota, Alex, Ross. It's going to be a good team this season. I'm looking forward to that. And, everybody at the Sunoco Cup Series, all the admins always putting on this show. You guys producing and putting this out there for everybody. My pops out there. Love you, pops. And, I was kind of distracted those last 2 laps because my son woke up. He was supposed to be in bed. He was tugging at my arm those last 2 laps. I was hoping he could give me some good luck. But shout out to him. Love that little guy. And love my wife who's working right now, but you guys too, man. You the fans, obviously. We'll see you guys next week. Tune into the podcast tomorrow, though. It's gonna be a good show.
It's going to be a hell of a show. Dropping the hammer on Twitch. Steven, appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week, brother.
Sounds good. You guys take care.
That was Steven Stepien getting second, but Joey, are you catching up with our third place finisher, Mr. Ross Harlow?
Yeah, the final man on the podium back here, the driver of the number 5, Ross Harlow. Congratulations, sir.
Thanks, Jerry. How you doing tonight?
I am doing just fine up here. You guys put on quite a show out there, despite kind of getting caught out by a couple lap cars at the end there. How did that go down through your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, it was especially after the pit stops there, that got a little bit hairy. Seeing the 21 Kunkel there go off in the dirt and then cut it right back, that got a little sketchy. But we all survived it. A little bit of checkups on pit road kind of broke up the 4 of us there. We really had a good thing going, and if it was all 4 of us together, we would have been fine. But that really kind of caused some issues. But after that, it was just stay on Stempy's tail and manage the temps, make sure I didn't get it too hot too quick. Make sure I had at least a little motor for the end. Yeah, and then the second we got to Kunkel, we knew that we were going to be in trouble. We couldn't, lift and let him lead because he was just going to back us up into Mario, and we knew he was going to push him, and then wasn't sure what Garrett did, but was going to do, but knew the run was coming, knew he was going to try to make it off of 2, and if that didn't work, he was going to try again off 4. He got to my bumper and just pushed me just right, and that right rear quarter panel had me facing down towards the wall just right. I just couldn't make a move to block him without killing everybody there, and I just didn't want to do that. I've had too much fun tonight. It was too much good racing. It was just too good a race to throw away like that, and then it just became a side drafting battle, and Top's always going to win that fight, unfortunately, but had a lot of fun either way. Been away for a little bit longer than most of the rest of the guys, just dealing with COVID and power outages and all sorts of other stuff. So it's good to be back in the driver's seat, and good to be back here with you guys.
Well, yeah, definitely happy to have you back. It's always nice to see you here in the interview room, getting the booth interview since you're a podium finisher. And I did see that side draft battle coming up off of 4. You did what you tried to try to break that up. Is that what I kind of witnessed?
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you go up too soon, all you're going to do is hurt yourself. And if their nose is just behind you, all you're doing is pulling air off of your car and slowing yourself down. So I tried to wait just for that last possible second to go up and just try to take what air I could off of Mario, or at least stall out Kunkel. But with the 3 of them versus the 2 of us at that point, it was a real tall order. I'm sure another driver that has more time on the super speedways in these cars probably could have pulled something off, but as it was, I'm real proud of it. I'm not a super speedway driver by trade. I tend to stick to the short tracks and road courses. But hey, we're all here having fun. This is meant to be a step away from the real serious, super hardcore racing, and it's just as hardcore. Just everybody's a little more laid back about it once the checkered flag flies. So no complaints, man. It was a whole lot of fun, and it's fun to do something outside of my comfort zone.
Well, my last question for you, you said you're not a super speedway guy, but you qualified on pole here tonight, and it's a fixed setup race. It's always kind of a crapshoot who gets that pole with a fixed setup race. Did you know you had a good lap? And maybe for anybody who's kind of starting super speedway racing, any tips to try to get faster when you're just the only car out there?
I mean, I'll be honest, at least as far as tonight goes, I really wasn't sure. I hadn't turned any practice laps prior to hopping in the session tonight. Just decided to do my thing, do my usual thing. I guess tips wise, try to keep the car driving in as straight a line as possible. You start going into the corner, you'll feel the wheel kind of start to tip in. The other thing I do, I don't know if it's right or not, but I look way farther down the track, and when I'm qualifying a super speedway than I do anywhere else. Everywhere else I'm probably looking 50, 60, 100 feet down the road. I'm looking, I'm entering turn 1, I'm looking clear down into the bus lot in turn 2, just trying to really focus beyond kind of what's immediately in front of me, and that tends to help me just keep a smooth wheel rolling through the corners instead of looking right in front of me and trying to adjust to the stripe as I'm going through. It worked for me tonight. It's that's the first pole I've ever gotten on a super speedway, so Yeah, that should tell you something there as far as how often it works. But I'm not going to complain. You know, that number one pit stall really was a huge advantage tonight. Just slid the box the first time, and um, I mean, we never put tires on, so I just slid them a little bit too much coming out after that last stop, and it kind of hurt. But otherwise, always want that number one stall for sure.
Well, Ross, thank you for coming out and racing here in the Sunoco Winter Series, and congratulations on the podium effort here tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Thanks to my primary sponsor, Till Valhalla Project, G&G's Gift, Millie Memories Drove, Team Watson Racing Setups, all my teammates over at DTH. I think we're going to have a real proper shot at the team championship this season. I think this is the best, easily the best, the best and the most well-rounded team in the series. And the results back that up. We've just never done it together, so should be a real good time. Biggest thank you, of course, goes to my lovely fiance. I wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for her support. Thank you to all you guys up in the booth. You put on a hell of a show every single week. And last but not least, thanks to Dakota, Dustin, the whole admin team here with the Sunoco Cup Series. Obviously, none of this would be a thing if it wasn't for them. So big thank yous all around. It takes a village, right?
Well, Ross Harlow coming home with a podium finish, driver of the number 5, and he's got that cue card down. He knows exactly who to thank at the end of this one, and that's going to really wrap us up. But Jake, I actually want to bring you back in here because what did you think of tonight's race? Talladega, super speedway racing, anything can and did happen. We saw 3 different strategies and ultimately a lapped car pushing somebody to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it usually goes when we come here, honestly, Joey. I mean, you never really know what to expect, when you come to Talladega. I mean, anything can and will happen, basically like Newton's Law. But, I mean, awesome to see Mario Miranda get the win. I mean, I've been sitting there watching him for the past 7 weeks, and, it's been getting to him, and I mean, hell, it'd get to me, it'd get to anybody to come that close 3 times and not get the win. But, he pulled it off tonight. Had a little help with some friends, which is what you gotta have, at the super speedways, and he ended up pulling it off tonight. And I'm sure he's gonna look back at this right here and go, "Damn, Shane White, he finished way down there. We may have a shot now to go back and try to run for this championship."
It'll be pretty interesting to see how all the points graphics play out, especially with that toss-up you just mentioned. But next week, the next-gen cars at the new Atlanta surface. That is January 17th. So we ditch out of these Gen 6 cars, hop into those next-gen cars at that new Super Speedway Atlanta version. Catch it right here on Podium Esports at the same time. Remember, folks, January 17th. And a big thank you to Dakota Curtis and all of the admins at the Sunoco Winter Series. And a thanks to our team tonight, Jake, Eddie, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, especially Ryan Bauer. Thank you for watching tonight's broadcast of the 2023 Sunoco Winter Series, and I'll see you at the checkered flag.